Good afternoon. You're watching Inside Business with me, Maya Hayakawa, the show that keeps you up to date with all things business. Now, later on in the show, we'll be having a discussion on stress in the workplace. Of course, stress can be a good thing as it motivates employees, but in excess, it can actually be counterproductive and can affect performance of employees. So a discussion on that later on, as well as one on digital literacy and how it is important to have digital skills in today's world of entrepreneurship. Now, moving on to our top story this afternoon, Kitui residents have protested against excavation of the vast coal deposits, stating that the government is taking advantage of their mineral without proper consultation. This comes in the wake of attempts by Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu to woo investors for a hastened coal excavation, receiving a setback in the project.
Kitui residents have called on mining investors to lease land rather than buying it from locals inhabiting the mineral-rich zones. The locals say they will not sell their ancestral land.
Koza kuelewana kwa ile bei tulipewa ya land yetu ambayo ni 150,000 per acre, na tukakoza kuelewana kulingana na kufanywa acreage ama size yetu ya land ikiwa imekatwa.
They also expressed frustrations over delayed exploitations of Kitui's vast mineral wealth, which they believe can eradicate the widespread poverty besides spurring the region's economy.
Sasa hii ni kopa na nimekalia na niko na njaa. Sasa serikali munisaidie penye mimi naweza kula hii.
The residents have appealed to the national and county governments to protect them from cons purporting to have been awarded mining concession and from those accused of attempting to swindle them out of their mineral-rich pieces of land.
Vile mambo ya mining yanafuatiliwa ili tufikie kulipwa, tuwe inafuatiliwa kwa njia inayofaa na kuwe na maongeo mazuri.
This comes amid plans by the national government to conduct a thorough audit on investors who have been awarded licenses to prospect and exploit minerals across the country. Addressing the matter, Mwingi Central MP Gideon Muliungi says unless proper consultations are done and the residents of Mui Basin, which lies in his constituency, are adequately involved in the process, he will do everything possible to ensure that the coal mining doesn't take place in the area. Kitui is perceived as one of the richest counties in Kenya, owing to its immense wealth of large mineral deposits. Among the minerals which the county boasts of is coal, whose discovery in the Mui coal basin several decades ago was a major milestone in positioning the region as one with a big potential in wealth creation in Kenya. Sarah Adam, K24 for Inside Business.
Meanwhile, the shift of development activities to national priorities has seen a 5.6% GDP increase, reduced poverty at household level, and created over 800,000 jobs per year over the last 5 years. Here are details to this and other more stories on our news segment with Ivy Vuguza.
Treasury PS Kamau Thuge says that the national target is to raise the GDP to 7% in the next 5 years under the third medium-term plan. The PS was speaking at a conference between the National Treasury and the European Union, where the two parties agreed to review systems and processes for disbursement of funds to the national and county governments to increase the absorption capacity of development assistance. Jumia customers will be able to stream matches during World Cup for free following a partnership with Kwese Paid TV Farm in a deal that will see sports fanatics get 30 days free subscription on Kwese decoders bought on Jumia for the World Cup season. Fans will also enjoy pay-as-you-watch services for a choice of 3 days, 7 days or 30 days, accessible through the multi-platform sign-up. Power supply company Kenya Power says it will spend 1.5 billion shillings to implement various projects meant to improve power supply in western and southern Nyanza regions. Kenya Power's managing director Ken Taruth says that the project also includes extending distribution network by constructing new medium and low voltage lines in the region to connect more homes to the grid and is scheduled for completion in 2019. Ivy Vuguza, K24 Business.
Now, while some workplace stress is normal, excessive stress can interfere with your productivity and performance, impact your physical, emotional health, and affect your relationships and home life. It can even mean the difference between success and failure on the job. Here to give us tips on how both employers and employees can manage work demands and their mental health, protect themselves from the damaging effects of stress, improve job satisfaction, and bolster well-being in and out of the workplace is, of course, corporate psychologist Silas Kiriinya. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
First of all, what is stress?
Stress is mental exhaustion. It's a strain. Like when you have too much to do and probably you don't have time to do it, you don't have energy to do it, that can be defined as stress. Yeah.
Can stress be healthy?
We have healthy stress and stress that is instrumental. So a stress that is healthy, we call it eustress, which basically is the stress that compels us to remain focused, to be energized, to be motivated, is the one that makes us not remain lazy. That stress is good. For example, when you get a baby, it's a good stress. But however, there are challenges that come with that. When you get a promotion, that can cause stress because you do not know whether you're really capable, of delivering in the new role. So that can be stressing. But of course, that amount of stress kind of empowers you to be able to do more. Now, distress, which is the bad stress, is when really it becomes detrimental to us, to our health, to our emotion, to our relationship, and it will affect even our productivity and performance at work.
Why should employers care about the mental health or the emotional well-being of their employees?
Definitely, if employers need to remain at the peak of their performance, then automatically they have to focus really on the mental health of the employees. Because we know that what I call life is basically your life outside the work. Now, your life as a way of affecting your work, and your work as a way of affecting your life as well. So if maybe I'm going through as a person in my marriage, in my parenting, in my finances, that is likely to affect me at my workplace. And therefore, if it affects me at my workplace, definitely it will affect even the way I perform. And therefore, it will end up, at the end of it all, being detrimental to the whole organization. Therefore, when employees focus on the mental health of their employers, when the employers focus on the mental health of their employees, automatically what will happen is that they will be able to perform better, and they will be more productive. They will reduce accidents, absenteeism, and sometimes, some organizations have already established what we call employee wellness program, which basically focuses on helping the employees to be more, to be more healthy in terms of their mental, to be more stable actually in their mental. Therefore, when they do that, automatically, when the client is there, is present, like really present, other than being present at work, and that's your mind, your emotions, and everything else is out there. So when employers support the mental health of the employees, then automatically what will happen is that they support them, and there is more productivity.
What are some of the common causes of stress in the workplace?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot. Again, as I said, there is no, you cannot distinguish what happens at your work and at your life, because one has a way of affecting the other, as I explained earlier on. But however, at the end of it all, there are so many other things that happen at workplace which are likely to impact even the mental health. For example, if there is a rumor that there is laying off very soon, therefore everybody is uncertain about what is going to happen. All the employees are uncertain actually about that. And therefore, the other thing is that there could be things like, for example, there is what we call critical incident. There is somebody who has died at workplace. That can cause a lot of stress also at the same time. Pressure to perform, your employer wanting you to perform, to remain at your peak. Those are some of the challenges that are likely to affect as well. But also there are other things that are interpersonal. For example, if there is a colleague, maybe there is rivalry among the colleagues, or also there is what we call passive aggressive, or some other times microaggressiveness, or working uncivilly at workplace. All those things can contribute to mental health issues at workplace.
What are some of the common signs that employers can look for in trying to identify if their employees are under stress?
Normally what happens when many employees get a new job or a new position, they are very excited and very motivated to come and work. But ultimately, as they go on and they experience a lot of stress, what happens is that they get demotivated. And therefore, you realize there's a lot of absenteeism, like people are not present at work. There's a lot of, many people asking for sick offs and, sick leaves. Some other things that you may notice is increased intake of alcohol or substance use at workplace. Maybe aggressiveness, anger, anxiety, fear, and all that. So once you see all the combination of all those, then you come to realize that probably the employees are being affected by what is happening at workplace.
What steps can employers take to ensure that the environment, the working environment, is conducive and is helpful to the mental well-being of employees?
It is necessary for the employers, first of all, to create awareness on the issues to do with mental health. Like in the month of March, we were focusing on bipolar disorder. And as a corporate trainer, I've done quite a lot of training on a number of organizations on bipolar disorder. Therefore, it looks like once you have done that kind of training, every employee knows what are the signs of bipolar, for example. And the moment they see them, then they get to know that my colleague is suffering from this illness. And also you train them to, you give them a lot of knowledge and you empower them so that they also realize that if somebody is going through mental health, they can as well come in and support. For example, if somebody is going through depression, somebody is using substance, you come in and support them other than judging them in that case. The other thing is employers are supposed to involve the employees, for example, in the decision-making. And sometimes when they want to bring in some of the trainers, like, for example, myself, to come and train on certain issue, they should engage the employees also to get to know whether there are specific areas in their lives that they would require some training.
How about for the employees themselves, individuals who feel that they are going through some sort of, work stress and don't really know how to cope or manage the stress? How can they manage and cope with the stress to ensure that it doesn't affect their work life so much?
The first thing to do is, I know there's a lot of stigma also around the issues to do with mental health, and therefore many people are afraid they don't know who to talk to, but actually the first thing to do is look for somebody that you trust, talk to them. If you can talk to your colleague, talk to them and tell them what you're going through. But also after that, make sure you see a psychologist to be able to work with you and support you in the process. But there are other things that you can do by yourself, For example, what I call self-care, whereby you sit down and really have a plan on how to take care of yourself. Take yourself out, take a walk and say, I'm doing this for myself. Go for gym. If you're doing it and you're losing weight, for example, or you want to be in good shape, let this be about you and not about any other person. So once you're in touch with yourself, that helps you. Also, there are other things that we encourage. For example, connecting with your God is another key resource in this area. For example, like, those who believe in all-powerful God, even when everything doesn't seem to work and no one is supporting them, they know that this God is there for them. Therefore, that gives them hope, and at the same time, it keeps them in control because they realize that they are not losing it all. Their God is going to support them. So those are key things that you can do.
You do corporate training for various organizations. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I've been doing this for quite a number of years. I'm actually an affiliate of Workplace Option, which is American-based organization, which provides employee wellness programs everywhere in the world. And at the moment, actually, they are providing to about 58 million employees worldwide. They support over 900,000 employees, organizations worldwide, and also, they're doing quite a lot of work. Now, I am one of the affiliates in Kenya. I guess we couldn't be two or a few of us. So what happens is that the organizations that have contracted us, they call us and we give them different kind of talks on mental health at workplace. And in this case, there are those who are very specific. They come to us and tell us an employee has died, and we need critical incidents. So how can we manage this situation? And therefore, we come in and we support them. When there is traumatic experience, for example, then we can talk to them also and be able to support them in that case. Basically, there are organizations that also include us in the induction program. So when there are new hires, they invite us, and once we go there, we give training on different issues. And particularly in this case, maybe issues to do with transition, working civilly, how to manage stress, and to know stress also at workplace. So basically, that's what we do. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. We've been speaking to corporate psychologist Silas Kiriinya on stress in the workplace. Hopefully you were able to pick a few pointers and tips out of there on how you can better manage stress in the working environment. Now, moving on to other stories, the export processing zones through the Kenya Private Sector Alliance has asked the government to exempt it from the mandatory 5% increment in minimum wage to its employees. The exporters argue that they have already complied with international labor regulations, and subjecting them to further charges will make them less competitive compared to other exporters. On a tour of the EPZ Labor Cabinet Secretary Ukuri Yatani said he will look into the request and give feedback after holding a discussion with labor unions. Faisal Ahmed reports.
Labour Cabinet Secretary Ukuri Yatani has, in response to a directive from President Uhuru Kenyatta during the KEPSA 8th roundtable last week, expedited the possibility of exempting export processing zones, EPZ, from instituting the 5% minimum wage increment announced during the Labour Day celebrations.
Salaries for workers in the EPZ zone is a very delicate area, is a very delicate sector, because higher cost of production automatically moves people out of employment.
While on a tour of an EPZ facility, the Labour CS said consultations are already underway, and he was cognizant that the yearly increment of some 52,000 EPZ employees might be counterproductive for Kenya's export products. United Aryan, an EPZ processor, said that they have already complied to the international labour regulations, and subjecting them to further increments will make them uncompetitive. According to the chairman of the firm, Pankit Berry, their workers who fall under the semi-skilled category received an average of 22,000 shillings, which is more than the prescribed minimum wage.
And the big buys which we have been able to bring into the country, like Levi's, Vanity Fair, PVH, and all those big brands like Calvin Klein and other Wrangler, Lee and all, they are all very conscious about the social compliances.
And our role as a government is to provide a facilitative platform so that industries are helped to grow the economy and to also reduce on the cost of production, whether it's power, whether it's salaries and all this.
Yatani has meanwhile said that his ministry will launch a 7-man committee that will be charged with the responsibility of handling workers' disputes before they are elevated to other levels like court cases. A consultative way forward on the minimum wage increment will be made by the end of this week. Faisal Ahmed, K24 Business.
Time now for Tokenomics. Now, increasingly, a wide range of economical, political and social activities are moving online, encompassing various ICTs that are having a transformational impact on the way business is conducted and the way people interact among themselves, as well as the government, enterprises and other stakeholders. This new landscape gives rise to new business models and a wider scope for innovation, but at the same time, underestimated activities online, including cybercrime. Here for a conversation on cybercrime and data protection and what this means for regulation is the Principal Secretary for ICT, Jerome Ochieng. Many thanks for joining us this afternoon. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks.
All right. Now, cybercrime is, of course, a big headache in the country, considering that we've lost billions through cybercrime. What risk exactly does this pose for Kenya today?
Thank you very much. I think we'll begin by actually looking at our technology landscape. With the advent of internet and with the introduction of online transactions, certainly cyber crime, people who are interested or in attacking people through the cyber are more focused on how to get to their targets. So basically, with the introduction, for example, of M-Pesa, Kenyan has been profiled as one of the leading in digital money transfers. So you realize that there is certainly going to be a lot of interest, and especially for criminals who target how to get money. So basically, to answer your question, the issue of cybercrime is a big issue in this country, bearing in mind that we have been championing online transaction. A lot of our transactions now are going online, and we're actually using technology to access many of the transactions that were previously being handled through physical one-to-one contact. So basically, I'm saying there is a general trend of increase in cybercrime because we have migrated from the normal physical human-to-human transaction to online transactions.
How involved is your docket in developing measures to fight cybercrime?
Yes, our ministry was greatly involved in the development of what we call the Computer Misuse and Cyber Security Bill that has actually gone through Parliament and is actually towards the last step of assent. We participated greatly, bearing in mind that actually we hold a lot of information about the technological landscapes that we have, and probably were able to give feedback. But we had a multi-discipline agency that was participating in this particular venture, whereby a lot of contributions, right from the stakeholders in ICT, right from the real industrial players in ICT participated in this, but actually we were playing a very big role in trying to ensure that people understand this and we're able to come up with a law that will address the issues that are affecting us.
We're seeing a huge shift of government services moving to ICT-based platforms. How would you rate the efficiency of e-payment services by government?
Well, I would want to say, even within the region itself, I think we are one of the countries that have actually embraced the use of ICT in provision of online services. Take, for example, what I've mentioned, the issues of M-Pesa. You realize that through M-Pesa, find that almost 80 to 90% of the people, or not just focused to M-Pesa, all the mobile money transfer, has actually made people now focus to technology more than before, because we have almost anybody who is of age has now access to the mobile money transfer, that being one of them. Then we have our e-citizen platform. Previously, and I've always said this, you'd get worried if your driving license was expiring on a Friday, because you know you cannot drive until the next working day. But now that is no longer a problem. What you only need to do is to log online onto your e-citizen platform and you renew instantly your driving license. A number of activities, I mean, issues of certificate of good conduct. We have more than 80 services that have actually been posted, I mean, are available online, and citizens can access these services online. And beyond that, there is also work going on to ensure that we try and bring on board as many government services as possible online.
But this also poses great threat for cyber crime. So what can we do to ensure that e-payments are secure, as well as all these services that are being rolled out electronically are secure for our citizens?
Yeah, thank you. Again, having come up with the technology that puts most of our citizens online, then there was need again to come up with laws, regulations that will actually take care of our citizens. It is based on that we developed the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crime Bill. Because now, with this bill, a lot of issues relating to online transactions are being addressed. For example, actually, that's why it says the computer misuse. It's good to have a computer. It is good to use it. But again, it is wrong to misuse it. So you'll find that the law, this particular new act, addresses a lot of issues that actually will be dealing with cybercrime. For example, illegal access to information. When somebody knowingly even picks that information with an intention to commit a crime again, all that is well stipulated in our Act, which previously was not being addressed. So you find that previously it was very easy to get away with issues relating to cyber-related crimes, because they were not really anchored properly in law. But now we are saying we've come up with a law that should actually address all these issues relating to ICT-related crimes or crimes that are being operated on in an internet platform.
You've just brought out an emerging issue that is very topical right now, which is on data protection. This in line with what we've been seeing with what's been happening with Facebook and other social platforms. Where does government come in to provide the laws regulating data protection? Yes,
currently in terms of data protection, we are currently working on a policy framework that will guide us into the process of coming up with the data protection law or the Data Protection Act. But we are at the initial stages whereby we are now involving even stakeholders for stakeholders' responses in terms of the issues of data protection. But data protection, again, is a very important element now that a lot of, like I said, we are moving more towards the technology-driven applications, and every other thing is now going to be online. I'll give a good example. We've been working towards ensuring that we implement e-health. Now, it is very important that me as a patient, my medical record is handled with care. I wouldn't wish that one day I find it online that this is the medical record of PS Jerome. So basically, that being one of the examples, we are actually coming up with policies and guidelines which will actually help us develop law in terms of how do we access data, who is authorized to access data, and what are some of the guidelines. When there is need to share data, for example, if I still go back to my previous example, if I am a patient in a lower hospital and I'm referred to a higher hospital, is that new doctor who is at a higher level allowed to access, and how is he allowed to access my medical information? Which is a good thing in the case that, so that I don't have to travel with my X-ray documents to the new hospital. I just move in and the other doctor will access the information. But that is a legal way of accessing data because, it is for my good. But again, it needs to be protected, that it is only that allowed doctor who needs to have access. So basically, we are saying through the development of guidelines and rules and regulations about data protection, we'll come up with a very clear way of how to access data, who to access it, and all those regulations surrounding.
You brought out something very interesting where you talked about the example of adopting ICT in health. I'm curious in knowing how involved your docket will be in achieving the Big Four agenda.
Very good. One of the things that we would want to come out clearly is that we, as the Ministry of ICT, we are going to be the enablers of the achievement of the Big Four. And we have put this as our priority because we are saying that as ICT, we play a very big role in providing the enabling environment or even ensuring that the Big Four agenda is achieved faster than expected. Because through the use of technology, we will be able to enhance how we get to that. And I'll break it down. Say, for example, when we look at universal health care, how does ICT come in? One of the things that we are working, and it's something that we have already started, is ensuring that we use ICTs in provision of health. Back to the example I had given. There is no need of me doing my X-ray in a hospital, say, for example, in my hometown of Kisumu. Then I'm referred to Kenyatta National Hospital. Within a day or two, I do another X-ray. What needs to be done is that the doctor in Kisumu should just transmit my X-ray record to the doctor. So in a KNH, to quickly just review that. So basically, we are saying with the use of ICT, we are going to enhance how quickly or efficiently doctors are able to share information and make a provision of health.
So basically, of course, ICT will play a huge role in making the Big Four agenda possible. We've been speaking to PS of ICT, Mr. Jerome Ochieng. We're taking a short break, but after the break, we still have more in store for you. Don't go away.